practical geotarget.
Practical geotarget.
Hi everybody, I'm Alan and that is Nicholas. Say
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Nicholas.
Hi. So to continue with our Esperanto topic, we did an introduction yesterday, and now we're gonna talk about one of the topic probably for new beginners, because when they pick Esperanto, they might want to know like, is it like an easy language to learn, or like how is it different than other languages that you know? So, what kind of language do you know, Nicholas?
Let's see. So when I was in Portland State University, I took 2 years of Russian, and I've studied Spanish, probably like every other American, for
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 years. So I could passively understand Spanish. I can't really speak it. I can't really
Mm-hmm.
speak Russian. I could understand some of it.
Mm-hmm. I get some Russian books.
Yeah, and I have Russian books, and I have big Russian dictionaries and Russian poems and things. So
Oh yeah.
I do like the culture and the language. And I just like studying the languages. It helps understand grammar and all that. So I do understand that somewhat. So tell us what you know about languages and what languages you know.
Mm-hmm. So I came from Hong Kong, so my mother language, like we talked about yesterday, was is Cantonese. So I'm pretty fluent in that one. And then I moved here, so I'm pretty fluent in English now. And like you said, if you go to high school, we have to learn Spanish. You just can't escape it now.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that's true. That's
And
really
it's
true.
pretty useful.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we started learning Italian in Duolingo.
Mm.
So,
Which I love. I think I like
uh,
that. I like Italian a lot.
yeah, we took some Duolingo lessons on Italian before I finally moved to Esperanto. I kind of forgot about Italian.
So
Oh.
when you shifted to Esperanto,
Mm-hmm.
you probably had heard. I don't know what you looked up if you Googled it or asked anybody, but if you Googled it, I'm assuming you heard how easy it was. Everybody on all the blogs and all the
Right.
websites always says it's the easiest language to learn. That's what it's always
Right.
touted as. Um, did you
Yeah.
see that?
I think you actually introduced me to Esperanto, and I'm not. I don't really remember if you said that it was one of the easiest language to learn to me, or maybe you said it's pretty easy to learn.
I probably told you this is pretty easy. Like I probably said the grammar was
Right.
simple.
Right.
You know.
I think you kind of told me while we were in the car, just kind of like a breakdown of Esperanto, like vocabulary and grammar. I mean, it sounded really
Yeah.
easy, but then it was really new to me. It's kind
Right.
of like a whole different concept, as in every other language. It has like different word ending that changes to tense and stuff.
Hmm.
So maybe hearing for the first time is still confusing, but if you kind of learn it and keep up with it, it kind of makes sense.
So the topic of our conversation is how easy Esperanto is, right? Like we do always
Right.
hear that it's a theory of it. In our
Yeah.
last video, you mentioned that Esperanto is not as easy as you thought it would be, or that you just said it
hmm
wasn't really easy. Do you want to expand on that?
What I find more difficult is just trying to memorize all the vocabularies. The grammar part is pretty easy, as in there's like not really irregular verb like we have in English. So everything, not that I know of at least, right?
Yeah, not really. There's not really irregular stuff. There's only a few irregular adverbs,
Right,
but it's only like six or something. It's like really small.
right. So
Yeah.
the tense are pretty easy, like every noun ends with an O, and every plural ends with a J, and let's see, like to make a noun in a different, what is it, like a opposite sex or
Oh,
different gender, you just put it into a girl form.
Hmm.
feminine form.
Oh yeah,
If
yeah,
you just put like a INO
yeah.
to the
Like
ending,
as in like
and
Vero
yeah,
versus Verino.
right, and even like cats like Kato to Latino,
Yeah, Catino. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
and then like cats babies are Catito,
Yeah,
yeah,
Catito.
Catito. So I mean, all the endings are pretty standardized, so it's pretty easy to just add it to the end of the word. But the hard part is you have to understand or memorize the word that you want to use.
Right. And that's I think with anything is because when you learn any language, you have this huge vocabulary to learn. It's just like that's the biggest hurdle. I mean, well, when I was learning Russian, I think one of the hardest things was learning the grammar. I mean, of course, the
Mm-hmm.
words were extremely long and very difficult and very different from English. Like even the not syllables, symbols, like the alphabet and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the same. So that I mean, you had all this other hurdle besides vocabulary, and
Mm-hmm.
the language was so complex in the grammar, depending on tense and tone and object, subject, all this sort of stuff. But Esperanto tries to remove some of that. So
Mm-hmm.
so once they remove all the other cluttered stuff, I mean, you still have to learn it, but it's definitely easier. It allows you to focus more on vocabulary, I think,
Yeah.
which is still pretty big, right? Because you want to be able to know enough words to have a conversation or.
Right. I think it just you have to learn it, as in many of the vocabularies are kind of similar to English. Like learning is learning.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean it's the same word, but then it doesn't apply to every word. Maybe that's
Mm,
the hard part.
yeah. And there's a lot of what we call like false cognates. In Esperanto, we call them like falsi amicoi, like false friends, because they look like an
Mm-hmm.
English word or something like that, but they're not. Like some
Right.
example, like we talked about it at the Esperanto group, um, like things like words like demandy sounds like you're demanding something, but it's actually just to ask a
You're just
question.
asking.
Yeah.
Right.
So there are some of those just because coincidence, I guess. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't, it wasn't on purpose. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing is just learn all the words that we use commonly in everyday situation. Like demandy is a pretty good word. You're asking something,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't know what I was like. Diras, diri, like to say something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think were some of the hardest aspects for you besides vocabulary?
Um, I think the one you taught me like Iggy and
Oh yeah.
what was it?
Yeah,
I think that was like advanced grammar.
I think that EG and EG are definitely, out of all the grammar, that's one of the harder issues for a lot of Esperantoists. I think, in my opinion, the accusative case isn't difficult
Mm-hmm.
for me. I mean, sometimes I forget to use it, but a lot of people have a problem with that. But EG and EG, like that's when you're messing with like the transitivity of verbs. I think a lot of people have a
Right.
problem with that just because like in their own language they didn't know a word
Mm-hmm.
was transitive or intransitive or we just use it, so you have to
Right.
memorize not only what the verb means and the root is, you have to memorize if it's transitive or intransitive inherently, so you
Right.
know to add it. Yeah.
It's just hard for me because there's definitely like a new theory that like doesn't exist in English. We just like you make me cold or I make myself warm. You just say like I'm warm, but you don't really add like an ending to it.
Right.
But then it goes back to like new stuff. Like my native language Cantonese doesn't have plural. You just say to apple, as in
Right.
you just say to apple, and you don't need to add like a ending like an s to it to make it grammatically correct. To apple, to people, or to person. So
Right.
when I moved here, I just don't know the concept of plural. It was like, when should I add an s to the word, and when should I not? And you also add an s to like verb to make it like he, she runs. And I'm
Right.
like, is that like a different thing? Like, why is run plural? But it's not really plural. We just make it a verb in a third person.
Yeah.
So that was like really confusing.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
definitely is confusing. I mean, and a lot of people, like even native speakers, depending on how much they know about language, they still do that. Like, they have a problem with, like, if I'm saying I am versus you are, it changes by like who you're talking about and how many people. So like they
hmm
are, I would never say I are. You say I am, but they is plural, so
Right.
it'd be they are. So yeah, the verb changes
hmm
depending on things like that. So yeah, and Esperanto doesn't have
Right.
that, thankfully. Well, they have it on nouns, like you're saying
Yeah.
like two apples or something, but not like on verbs or anything else.
Right.
Just nouns.
And then when I first learned Esperanto, it's not hard, but I just find it kind of complicated. As in, like I eat an apple.
Mhm.
Well, apple is pomo, right?
Mhm.
But then when you say you eat an apple, you have to add an N to it, like mi
Right.
manjis or mi manjas, pomon,
Right. Yeah, that's the accusative that people have a hard time with.
right? Because
Yeah.
that doesn't really apply in English. You just say I ate an apple.
Right.
So that was wondering like why like Esperanto is supposed to be easy. Like why do you have to put like an N to to like I don't know make that case. I don't know how to
They
explain it.
they do that for word order. So because I know like a lot of poets and things, they like to switch. Even in English, they like to switch word order. And even when we
Right.
ask a question in English, the fact of asking a question, we move around the words. Like if I say you are tall versus are you tall, I move the order of the words. And unless you
hmm
studied English long enough to know which one's the subject, which one's the object, things like that, it could be confusing. But in Esperanto, it's
hmm
marked. Like you can move the words around, but it still makes
Right.
sense.
Oh, I get it.
So I could
So
say,
there's more confirmation that that is a direct object or the
right,
indirect object.
yeah, they just wanted to mark it so it's less confusion for new people. So,
Mm-hmm.
so if I said like, pomon vimanjas.
Right.
Pomon has an N, so you know that's what you're eating. If you don't know word order, you won't be able to speak English. That's just it.
Right.
Like you can't in English just switch around the words and have it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same with other languages, but Esperanto you can to a degree, as long as you don't like switch words out with like prepositions and stuff. I mean, it
Right.
still makes sense in the whole basic phrase. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they marked that
That
to
makes
be.
sense.
I think they originally added that to make it more simple, but I think a lot of newcomers have a hard time with it. Even people who are not new seem to forget it. Like when I speak Esperanto, I forget it sometimes, and I don't even notice it.
Yeah.
And I make a
I never
note.
noticed it. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
You just
Yeah,
have to keep practicing pretty much
yeah.
every day.
Chiutage
And
concludes our discussion of Esperanto easiness, and Alan's gonna sum it up for
or
us.
difficulties.
Difficulties. Alan's gonna sum it up for us.
So as a beginner, definitely think Esperanto is one of the easier language to learn because I mean the grammar and vocabularies are kind of similar to English or like Latin words. So if you kind of know some other languages or you speak English, Esperanto is still pretty easy to use, especially the grammar. And the difficult part is you just have to memorize the words that you don't know and that are definitely not similar to English. You kind of have to memorize it, like the question word, the table words, and pretty much like a lot of Esperanto words. So you should have an Esperanto dictionary handy
Yes,
if you're
that's
gonna use
true.
it, because there's definitely a lot of words you won't know unless you look it up.
Right, that's a good
And
point.
also a lot of theories, a lot of new theories, like the Iggy, Iggy. How do you
Oh
say
yeah.
it? The Iggy?
Oh, the EG and EG, which works with a
Iggy,
transit.
Iggy,
Yeah, works with the
right?
transivity.
And the accusative, like you said,
Right. Yeah.
it's just
Accusative
something you
case.
have to remember to use because it's
Uh,
not so clear cut.
hmm. It's not intuitive. You just gotta memorize it and practice it. Yeah. Would you mention the dictionary? I was gonna say like
Mm-hmm.
for people who want a good dictionary, I like this one a lot.
Dictionary.
It's reversed probably in the camera, but it's actually English to
No, it's not.
Esperanto. Oh, it's not? By
Mm-hmm.
Peter
You wouldn't see
Benson.
it.
Peter Benson. Okay.
Is that is that the only dictionary for Esperanto, or
No, there are a
are
lot
there
more.
better ones?
There are a lot more.
Okay.
Um, yeah, they're good ones. This one has some really cool definitions. That's why I like it. But yeah.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.